So following on from the STS tool, another part of customer feedback which we received on the soft starter range was how easy it was to be able to set a Sirius soft starter up, or just soft starters in general. And we've done two things which assist in the soft starter parameterization. One of those factors is designing a feature within the Sirius STS tool which allows you to gain an understanding of the initial parameter set before you've even purchased the soft starter. And one of the great things or reasons why we've done that is because you're no longer playing trial and error with those potentiometers on the front of the soft starter. When you've bought the unit, you now have a good understanding through simulating the application through the STS tool on what to set those pots to. So Siemens have two ranges of soft starters which have potentiometers on the front of the device, and they're within the basic range and the general performance range. And the customer feedback which we received on those soft starters is some people didn't gain a full understanding of how to set those pots, but when you're utilizing the Sirius STS tool, that burden has now been taken away from you, and you can gain an understanding of what you set the current rating to of the motor, what you set your overload to, what you set the voltage ramp up to be, what you set the initialization voltage to be. So all those things can be concluded within the simulation tool before you've even purchased the unit. So there's no more guessing at what those potentiometers need to be for a particular application before you've bought it, and then start tweaking it beforehand because you already know what the potentiometers need to be set to because you've simulated the application. And that's the first thing that I want to show you within this session.
So once you've created a simulation, you can see here there's a fourth option for application parameters. If we go into the application parameters, you can see this tab here which says starting current limit function. This gives you an idea of what you can set the current limit function to and optimize the motor's start. So this curve here gives you a direct comparison between a DOL, which is this line, and a soft starter, but also the load line as well. So the idea is we don't want the soft starter yellow dotted line to intersect with the load line, otherwise the motor won't start. So if you drop that current limit function below the intersect line, you get an error message pop up in the corner. So we'll increase that, and we'll effectively optimize the motor's start before we bought the unit. If we're happy with the current limit function to be set at that limit, we can then turn that off. Then we can gain an understanding of what we set the starting voltage to. So the starting voltage can be dropped from anything between 0 and 100% on the startup. Here we can even play around with the ramp up time as well if we wish to. And once you're happy with that, you can then go into the report and gain the application parameter set. So once the report's finished generating, you can now see that the application parameter set that we utilised in the STS tool has now been added to the project documentation, which we've just collated. So it provides you with that information as well in the report once you've finished the simulation.
So the main reason why this session was brought about was because the key feature for us is the auto parameterization function within the 3RW55 soft starter. Now this is completely unique to Siemens, and rather than utilizing potentiometers, Siemens has built in a function within the 3RW55 which automatically parameterizes each of those individual aspects of the soft starter to make the whole commissioning process run a lot smoother. And if you keep that function activated, it will carry on optimizing the motor startup every time the device starts. So in this next example, what I'd like to show you is the comparison between the older version of the 3RW44 and how you program that within Sirius Soft Starter ES, and also the version of the 3RW55 utilising TIA portal and a HMI. So both have a similar kind of process. You set them up on either a piece of software or through the HMI, and the selection process in terms of the data that you're gathering is also very similar.
So as you can see, the software which we use is called SoftStarter ES Premium to program the 3RW44s, or you can do it through the front of the HMI. So if you move to device configuration, you then choose the firmware version that's on the front of the SoftStarter. You can then enter the basic parameters. So within here it asks you for the rated operating current. So that's the current on the motor's nameplate. When you change that, it should increase the list of soft starters that are suitable for the application. You type in the rated speed of the motor, and you can also select the load type, whether it's single or three phase. This is three phase. So in control function soft starter, you can then change the startup mode, but for this application what we'll do is we'll use voltage ramp and current limit function. We'll change the starting voltage to 60%. We'll change the current limit to 3.5 times, so that's 350%. The starting time can change. We'll change that to 15 seconds. And then you can also tweak as an option the method of stopping, but for this we'll stick to coast down. Once that's done, you can then select the motor overload protection. So for this application we'll use the tripping class 15, and we want it to trip without a restart, which has already been selected. And once that's been done, you can see now there's some other input information, but that's non-essential, so that then we can make the steps towards downloading that into the soft starter. So as you can see, in this method there's a number of different options which you need to select to configure the soft starter. So now what we want to do is try and expand on that by reducing the amount of selections to make the whole process of parameterizing a soft starter a lot easier, and I want to show you exactly how we've done that.
So in this next part of the session, this should be the really easy part. So the 3RW5 with the auto tune feature. I'm going to show you the two options in which you can configure this device. One is via the HMI and the other is through the TIA portal SoftStarter ES software. So the first option, which I'm going to take you through, is via the HMI on the front of the Sirius SoftStarter. So that can be mounted either on the control cabinet or inside the soft starter. So you have the initial layout, the motor with the soft starter. Once the camera's zoomed in onto the HMI, I can then guide you through how to tune the device. So you simply go into the main menu, access parameters. Once you're in parameters, click soft starter, go into parameter set 1, auto parameterization. Select the current rating of the motor through the nameplate on the front of the motor. Once you've gained access to that, simply select the application which you have from the list. There's multiple different applications in there. Once you've done that, simply save the parameters. Once the parameters have saved, then you can initiate the start of the motor, and it's as simple as that. You now have an optimized motor startup. Every time that motor starts, you will then get the device auto tuning every time it cycles and initiates that startup. So the next method I'd like to show you is via TIA portal. Similar kind of setup. You've got your motor configuration and you've got the Sirius soft starter, except this time what we'll be doing is we'll be having an Ethernet cord going into the HMI, docking it into your PC. Firstly, you need to go into TIA portal, create a project. Once you've created the project, you can then select the device. So whatever power rating you have for that particular application, it'll be in the list in the hardware library within TIA portal. Once you've selected the correct device, you can then start checking the hardware. So you can go into device configuration and ensure that the correct device has been selected. You can then go into parameter sets, parameter set 1, select the auto tune function, select the current rating, and once you've done that, you can then establish a connection via your PC and the soft starter to download that into the soft starter, and once that's done, you can then start the motor. So it's as easy as that. Similar to the HMI, it's a really quick and easy installation process. It's a really quick and easy commissioning process. The setup time on the 3RW55 via the HMI, or whether that be in TIA Portal using that auto tune feature, dramatically reduces the amount of engineering time. So it's really quick and really easy to be able to utilize. So if you go with the high feature range of soft starter, the 3RW55, you get a really quick and easy commissioning process. But if you go for the general performance range of soft starter or the basic performance range of soft starters, we're not leaving you in the lurch. We've got the Siemens STS tool where you can simulate the parameters. You can gain an understanding of what those parameters are in terms of your overload setting, in terms of the current rating of the motor, in terms of the current limiting function, in terms of the starting voltage and ramp up time. All those functions you can parameterize within the simulation tool before you've even bought the unit, so there's no more trial and error. You'll know what to set the soft starter to before you've even bought the device. So right the way through the range, Siemens has looked at how easy it is to be able to set the soft starters up, and we've taken that into consideration, and to me we've done a really successful job in enhancing our customers' experience with the product range. So if anybody's got any opportunities which they'd like to discuss regarding the Sirius soft starters, please feel free to get in contact with me at any point. Thanks very much for watching.